it's Steve Yorty again. I just wanted to talk about a little project I've been working on and give some food for thought. This is an older Mantua 080 switch locomotive. I don't know where I picked this up at, but it's kind of a nice looking model. It's got low drive wheels, has the original open frame motor. So what I did with this was I stripped all the old lettering off, and I utilize automotive brake fluid for that. If you soak lettered parts, you want to remove the lettering in the brake fluid, and in a couple of hours it just totally cleans everything off and down to the bare plastic. Very, very nice way of doing it. So I did that on this locomotive, and I think washed, obviously I had it apart. I washed it and airbrushed to grimy black. I weathered it. I did some highlighting, some weathering powders, new decaling, and I decaled it for a Reading Class E 080 switch locomotive. So I didn't modify this engine a whole lot from how it looked originally. I did add a KD coupler in the front. I added a number board in the middle, and then I did all the lettering. But otherwise, this is pretty much as is. It's not an exact replica of the Reading 080 switchers. Again, they had those large Wooten fireboxes, and for me to do an exact replica would be a pretty much total rebuild of the superstructure. This had a small brass cast bell. I ordered one online to replace it for right there where the hole is, but I think it turned out reasonably well. Now, the tender is right here. The only modification I did to the tender is that I added a backup light. I had a light just like that in my stash. I figured a mounting technique, drilled a hole for the wires, and I put the tender backup light on, which a switch engine would have certainly had. The other thing I did is that I took the tender floor and I scrapped out the old Mantua tender trucks, replaced them with these KD pickup trucks, and it was basically swapped right in, no problem at all. Even used the original screws. Just had to drill a couple of holes up through the bottom of the tender floor for the wiring. That should be good to go as well. I wanted to show, if I can find it here, this is one of the old, and I was critical of these in a previous video. These are the typical trucks that come with the Tyco or Mantua models. They're made out of pressed metal. The wheels are brass, which is not as good for pickup. And they just are really, really poor at picking up electricity. And I don't really know, I mean, you can't solder to it because it's not it'd be hard to put on any kind of a wipers to that or anything. So I just say to heck with it. I'm gonna put new tender trucks on that pick up better. So these, I just don't use them. Now, this locomotive here, and this is what's very impressive, and I'll explain what I did to it to get it like this, but I'm gonna turn this on and we'll actually go forward. I want to look at those drive wheels, how slow those are operating. I can get that so slow that it takes 15 seconds per drive wheel revolution, and by doing the math, that calculates to well less than one-half scale miles per hour. So the question is, what do you do to get them to run like that? I mean, it's pretty darn smooth. And it's a little bit of noise, and the noise actually sounds worse on the video than it actually is me sitting here. It's actually fairly quiet, but it seems like the noise gets magnified by the video. So what do I do to get that motor to run like that? I did not swap out the original motor. Well, we'll show you here. And this is a example of the motor and the mount. This is on a different, this is the same kind of motor that's in that engine I just ran. First of all, and this is an aside, these motors are not DCC friendly as is. They are not electrically isolated from the frame. They are screwed in underneath, right into the motor. The only thing that's electrically isolated on these is this brush right here, which has the wire attached to it. Ah, caught me. But the brush on this side is basically grounded to the frame, and you can see why when you look at the top of this, that basically these little wire clips here goes to this, and that brass tab is basically into the frame of the motor, which is into the frame of the engine. There's two ways to isolate these that are very easy. Number one, take a Dremel motor tool, and I've done this with a cutoff wheel, and make a cut right here, right across that tab. That will electrically isolate this post if you do that. But I was a little worried, could that affect the integrity of the mounting of that post? So I have done that before successfully. Then you would just need to run a wire to your decoder. Like this one would be as is, and then you'd have to solder a wire probably here to the top of the brush, like in this area. A much easier way is take a piece of this heat shrink tubing here, like that, the smallest one you have, and basically just quickly pop off this little spring here and put a piece of heat shrink tubing on that spring from about here to a little past the end. And then put the brush back in, and it's electrically isolated, and that takes probably less than I'm talking about it to do that. So that's how you electrically isolate them. Now, for what I do, the other issue with these motors, and this goes for this type of motor, they're known to have low or very poor slow speed performance. They're also known to maybe not be the best at pulling power. What I've read is a lot of that has to do with the strength of the magnet in the motor. So in this case, I purchased this. I got this a long time ago. This is from Micromark. These are super magnets. They come in a stack like that. You can see I've used a fair number of them. These supposedly, and you can read that maybe, these supposedly offer up to 10 times the torque of the original motors, which is a lot. You can use these in, say, any of the old Bowser motors, the Penline motors, which are, I believe, Pitman, and in these ones. And basically, you just take the length you need. And what I did here, and I already did this conversion here, I just unscrewed this, in this case I unscrewed a screw, it's from the other side. The old magnet just popped right out like piece of cake, like nothing. I mean, and then I took 4 of those magnets out of that stack in the container, slid them right in, tightened the screw, and it's ready, it's good to go. And that is all that I did on this locomotive here. So the question is that going to improve the performance? I think so. It certainly appears that way from my initial testing. It should improve the slow speed performance considerably. And it's a heck of a lot easier than the alternative. The alternative is basically remotoring the locomotive with a new can motor, maybe a new drivetrain, whatever, and that can be done too, and I've done that on some of these. Anyhow, I just thought I'd present that as a possible alternative to having to remotor a locomotive is try upgrading the magnets, see what happens. In some of these older open frame motors, you could use them in the open frame brass engines, really any, to be honest with you. And you know, those magnets in here, they're tight. I'm not going to get these out. I mean, they literally snapped right into place, and they're as tight as the original one was, just 4 of them. And I will tell you, they are powerful. When I had that stack over here, they were picking up everything on this table without my even wanting them to. They were just very powerful. So just some food for thought. I guess the question is, do you upgrade the motor by replacing it, which is a considerable amount of work, or do you upgrade the magnet to see if you can improve the performance? I guess that's a question to think about. So thanks for watching.